I've actually lived through an experience of someone pointing a gun at me so that they may actually steal something from me. Being the robbers,
So they died in the
and they
robbery.
died. My biological brother died last year because of the same. So for me, literally, it was not. It was more of Mayowe Nduru, or rather, it was more of what is it? Ni kama kuchapwa na mob. It was more of mob justice, more of people hunger, having hunger for blood, because.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another amazing episode of Munga Swords. My name is Mungai Dennis and my guest today is...
Clint Odhiambo.
Hey! the only person that was born Kenyan but his mother tongue is English.
Come on, it's not as if my mother tongue is really English.
You know, you guys normally introduce yourself like... that your mother tongue is English, like it's not from within the borders of Kenya.
Well, tunasemanga tunaitwa United States of Alego. If you're from Nyanza, you know what I'm talking about.
USA.
Yes.
So my guest is not come from nearby. This guy, I had to wait for him to take a shuttle all the way from the border of Uganda and Kenya, all the way from Migori.
Oh, come on.
So ladies and gentlemen, help me cheer this guy, Clint Odhiambo.
Thank you very much, Mungai. You're really exaggerating that side. You know, from the border of Uganda.
Yeah, like this guy's from the border, like ninafanya juu chini ili nivuke border.
Come on.
Jagu akigeuziwa kwa Nairobi, already within the borders.
Where do you let me say? But anyway, tutasemaje. So, hi guys, my name is Clint Odhiambo. I'm from Migori. Well, currently I really do a lot of activities in Migori, and I'm born again. I'm so much in love with Jesus. It's been a great journey with Jesus. I am also known as Pastor Clint. I lead Mavuno Church Migori currently, a new church plant which is 10 months old. Yeah, we're actually going 1 year right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so we thank God for that. Yeah, but also I'm an author, recently author. Yeah, you can see the book called Becoming an Asset to Your Generation. I also lead a brand called Clint Code. Clint Code is a business brand that really provides services in advertisement, and basically anything that is voiceover oriented, anything that is graphic design oriented, leadership training, but also most importantly anything that is advertisement per se. Yeah. Yes. So
you can hear from his voice, right? I feel like this should have been radio so that I'm talking to him, you know, and you guys are just hearing our amazing voices and you're not getting to see some of our, you know, very blessed, fearfully, wonderfully made faces.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so privileged to be here at Munga Swords. Yeah. So I'm so humbled, excited. Yes, very.
Are you ready for today?
Come on, I'm ready. I'm ready than ever.
You're not ready. People that have sat on this seat leave here telling me, hey Munga, I didn't know you're gonna bombard me like that.
Bombard.
Yeah, there's somebody whom I even asked what is AI, and they gave me a dictionary definition. I was surprised. They left here and I'm just like,
what?
Had you revised, like, had you asked God like for a leakage for what I'm going to ask you?
I know.
Because the way she responded to my question.
Yes.
Hey.
It was on another level.
Hey. Top notch. I can't wait to start posting her episodes.
Oh, come on.
She's super amazing.
Such a blessing.
Yeah. So Munga Swords is the space to be. And today we wanna dive deeper into who Clint Odhiambo is. So, who is Clint Odhiambo?
Very, very interesting question. Really, I can't.
The short version of the story.
The short version of the story.
Yeah.
So,
were you born at?
Okay, so
Pap to where you here.
okay. So my name again. I think I've shared my name and I've actually told you guys. So Clint Odhiambo is a young man who grew up in Huruma. Huruma is a ghetto area in Eastlands. For those of us who know, in Nairobi. So he grew up in Huruma and was able to overcome the odds and the experiences that normally occur in the ghetto area and in Eastlands. And so he managed to, of course, go to primary and high school, and right now is doing what he feels that God has called him to do in the community and in the society through impacting the lives of others. So Clint Odhiambo generally, I can say, is a man who has lived up to overcome the odds of what he experienced when he was growing up, and right now is living a purposeful life that is impacting the lives of those ones that God has called him for. Yes.
Wow.
I don't know if I've given a short version or a long version.
So you grew up around gangsters.
I grew up around gangsters, man.
You even know some gangsters.
Oh my goodness, I know
like
some
real life, the ones we think we know from movies.
Yes, in real life,
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
So you've seen guns.
I've seen guns. Oh, guns. Oh yeah, I've seen guns. In fact,
leave alone the police guns.
yes,
like
the
illegal
guns.
ones.
In fact, I've actually lived through an experience of someone pointing a gun at me, so that they may actually steal something from me. And a knife. Unakumbuka zile, in fact, ni zile knife za kukata mboga.
Wow.
Yes. So I've lived, I've seen, I've actually attested to some friends who have died because of the same. As a result, actually, even my biological
Being robbed
being robbed,
or being the robbers.
being the robbers.
So they died in the
And
robbery.
they died. My biological brother died last year because of the same. That's a story of another. Probably maybe if we get some time, I can be able to explain, to talk about it. But that is the environment that I've grew up in, per se, as I was growing for the past 27 years. Not 27, no. I stayed in the ghetto area, rather in Uruma, in all of my 14 years. Not even 14, 18 years, until I actually reached 18. That's when I moved out from Uruma, which is the ghetto area in Eastlands, right? Yeah, so that's been my experience, and yeah.
So you can distinguish between the sound of a firing gun and the sound of balutis. These fireworks.
Yes, I can.
Because the first time I moved here,
Yes.
I didn't know that Indians do use their fireworks. So I used to wonder. I mean, there are gunshots every night. I would even clutch my
wow.
blanket tighter and just pray that I'm safe.
Oh my goodness.
Only to one day pass across the place where they use the fireworks from.
Yes.
And apparently it's the same place where we host church, Mavuno South.
Okay.
And I'm seeing these are fireworks.
My goodness. So for you, it was like a shock.
Yes, because I thought that they're fire, like people are always exchanging bullets with
man.
police here.
What a shock on you. It was just a firework, but it's quite interesting that you can be able to really differentiate the two out of the experience that you have lived in such an environment. So for me, literally, it was more of Mayowe Nduru, or rather, it was more of what is it? Ni kama kuchapwa na mob. It was more of mob justice, more of people having hunger for blood, because specifically of the heart and the pain they have out of what those robbers have done to their kids and their relatives. And so the difference was you could hear the gunshots from the police killing the robbers, or rather you could hear a lot of chaos and a lot of noise from people who have hunger for blood to kill. Because they found a thief, they found a young boy who's a teenager, and probably maybe the boy, because of the influence and the peer pressure, was trying to steal a phone from someone early in the morning, like 5 a.m. And as long as the boy or the guy is found, he's killed, literally on the spot, because of the hunger and the pain. that most of the people used to have. And even today, most of the parents, most of the people have. And I
The
realize
bitterness that
the
they've
bitterness
had
that they've, yes, exactly,
Yeah.
the bitterness that they have towards what has been, because in the ghetto area we hear a lot of young people going astray, simply because, and I realized recently, especially last year during the passing of my brother, that a lot of all these things that are happening there is simply because of lack of parental love and a parental guidance, and that extension of showing that that I'm here to really be there as a parent and as a father and a mother. So most of the young people lack that space of being able to express that love of a parent, and most of the times when they lack that that exposure,
care.
that parental care, there's a gap that is created. So normally, what fills that gap are the friends,
Wow.
drug addicts, robbers. Most of them have actually finished high school. They don't have they have lacked a sense of guidance from the parents and care, and so what they have decided to do is to find something that works for them. And most of the times what they find that works for them closely is either drugs, it's either robbery, fast money, and through that on recruiting other young people, and as a result they form a gang, a group. They call it gerende in Swahili or in Sheng. And so as a result, they find themselves trying to steal somewhere. Na tunasemanga siku ya mwizi ni arobaini. Unfortunately, that's what happens to them, and that's a lot of things happening. I was actually sharing with a parent last year, one of the parents that is in the ghetto, and he was sharing with me and telling me that, Clinton, one of the things that I figured out is that as I'm a parent here, I know my boy is actually taking bang. I know my boy is involved in robbery, but one of the things that I feel like I've failed to do is be there as a parent, because most of the times parents in the ghetto don't have time for kids. They are doing an 8 to 4 job, a full-time job that needs them to be there from Monday to Sunday, coming every single day in the evening, late at night, and not having some time to actually ask the kid or the son or the daughter, how was school, how was everything. There is nothing like that, and so they lack love.
Wow, that's so sad.
Yes, yes.
Because one of the it's amazing to hear that story, and one of the things that made me give my life to Jesus was love.
Wow. Wow.
And just to know that he loves me for who I am, and not for the things that I try to portray to be, it just really amazed me. It really struck me. And now I see why it's important for these kids to be introduced to Jesus, because that's the other love that you get that won't exactly take away, won't fill the gap of the love of a parent, but at least it will play a bigger role in helping you know that you're not useless. I was sharing with someone that same story last evening, and they were telling me that as a parent, she feels that the moment she becomes a parent, that the biggest thing she can ever do for her children is to affirm them.
Wow, come on. Wow.
You're the one who's almost there. At least for some of us, we don't even know the person.
No, you will definitely reach there. I think affirmation really works well with identity. But also at the same time, I realized when you don't have that consistent affirmation, and especially to us who are young people, even when we were growing up in the ghetto area, in Huruma with Madare, a lot of those things that we found ourselves doing, or a lot of those people, young people that are involved in drugs, a lot of those young people that are involved in addictions or in pornography or in robbery, it's because of lack of affirmation. When you lack affirmation, when you lack that affirmation, it actually creates a gap for a wound or addiction as a result. And so it's very important. I'm glad that actually this is something that we get to experience even right now that we are older, and of course through relationships, and even those ones who are married, for them to experience the same.
Yeah. And one thing I've come to realize that you know, the moment you become a parent yourself, I'm not saying that the parents immediately leave the picture, but it's like affirmation is stronger when it comes from somebody who knows you.
Yes.
And there's this book I'm reading right now by Pastor Apmo,
Okay.
and it's talking about honor. And honor is not giving honor to someone that's earned it, like where respect to respect, you've earned my respect, but honor is to whom it is due. It's like taxes, you don't choose not to pay taxes. And it talks about honoring your partner in marriage. And it's just hitting me that that even in that relationship, with the hurdles that come with it, that sometimes the solution is not even arguing with your partner about how wrong or right they are, but rather just affirming the good things that you see in them.
Exactly. Affirming the good things that you see in them. And sometimes this may mean, and especially to us men who have a lot of ego, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, to you men. To us, yes. And it's very, in this space, it helps you to affirming your partner or affirming someone is part of honoring that person. And when you have, and especially for us who still are in a relationship, when you want to learn honor, even in marriage, you have to begin from the relationship aspect of it. And I normally say that if you want to create an impact in your marriage, you have to begin making the baby steps in your relationship. Yes, the dating phase. And most of the times we are not really exposed to that kind of knowledge on beginning to make the baby steps and developing some culture in your relationship so that it can be able to bring an impact even in your marriage. Yeah. And that's honor begins from that particular point of view in dating and in relationship. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's quite
So,
interesting.
so it's amazing. You can imagine if there was a whole load of affirmation that had been passed down, even for those kids who turned out to be thieves.
Yes.
Do you think they would have remained there? Because I heard somebody say that the Bible says that you raise a kid the way they need to be raised, according to the way God leads you. And then when they grow up, even if they lose their way, they'll still find it back.
Yes, I think one of the things that could really have changed and can change even right now, because it's still happening in the ghetto area. I know of a parent who's struggling with a son who is a teenager who refused to go to school, who refused to really honor, respect, obey the parent, the mother. So, and he actually decided to escape from home and decided to engage in the gang, in the bad company, and decided that this is what is going. He's actually even bold enough to even take bang in front of the mother and the parent, and this is something that is even it's happening right now. I believe that through if we could have known if the because sometimes I realized even through my parent that our parents didn't know how to do it. The only way that our parents knew how they could express love, it is through telling you, wewe nikikupata hapo nitakuchapa, or doing the physical aspect of discipline. And for them, that's how they knew that I love you. So to my dad, if you wanted to know that he loves you, he could have actually disciplined you very proper, with a K, like beating you proper. And he will not tell you that I love you. You'll just see him telling you nikupanda tena ndakuchapa. And so that developed, to some kids, it developed to be a negative aspect of growing, because again, through the same, and I'm not a parent, but I'm told that in layer class, or rather in parenting class, you're normally taught that when if it need be for you to discipline your child or your kid, you're not supposed to discipline with your hand, beating your daughter or your son with your hand, because that creates a gap of fear. And our parents didn't know that, and at some point, maybe for some of them, they didn't know. They actually found themselves there, and through that one, they didn't know how to give proper affirmation, telling you that, hey, I love you. I know that you failed in your exams. I know that it was very hard. It was very difficult, but hey, I'm here to just embrace you and tell you that I love you. And so in all of my life, through that particular journey that I was young in Huruma, I've never had the word that I love you. I've never had the word that I love you from my dad, from my mom. Even after my mom passing away, it was quite difficult for me to express and give the same to others, because I've never had that. I didn't know how to express that word of affirmation.
Wow.
You know, and through that one, that was me. For me, at some point, I normally say that God had a specific grace for me to sustain through that specific season. But my brother couldn't really sustain, and so for him, he grew up being toxic, and for him, it was difficult for him to relate. He couldn't have any love affirmation from a parent, word of affirmation from a parent, from a mother per se. So for him, he grew up being disoriented. He looked for any gap that could fill that void that was in his heart, and so he found friends, and that's where he found himself too. And yeah, the rest is history.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, it's quite a sad story there, but we're glad that you're here, and now you're. For my audience there, whoever is listening, I'm hoping that whatever you're hearing is not just affirming the failures that our parents made, but we are also coming in with a solution, and that is going to be shared briefly as he talks about what he's spoken about in this book, of how we can turn from liabilities and becoming assets in this generation. I'm sure I'm surprising him. He doesn't know that I really loved business back in high school. And so assets, for somebody who didn't do business, assets are the things that you need in a business. For example, the location of the business, that house, that premise, it's an asset to the business. If you are a cab driver, the vehicle is an asset because it's what enables you to conduct the business and make more money from it. Yeah, and a liability is anything that takes away. For example, in that business, fuel is a liability.
Yeah.
If there is a way to substitute that fuel with electricity, then that will really save on cost, because electricity is cheaper and it's becoming much more available compared to fuel, which is an unrenewable form of energy. Yeah, so you are in this generation and you have tuned in to listen to us. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we just hope that you're gonna hear what he's gonna talk, some of the things that he's gonna highlight that he has already covered in this book about you becoming an asset.
Come on, Mungai.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Come on. I think you really have a good English. Yeah. So basically, I think the way you've described it, land is an asset, right?
Yes,
and
it
land being an asset is, I think the simple example you can use as a land being an asset, it's something that adds value. So an asset is something that adds value, in other terms. And when you have something that is adding value to you, specifically, that is what we can be able to call an asset. Land, for example, you can buy a land in Naivasha at 8th an acre, maybe, for example, right now going for maybe 5 million shillings. The next few months or in the next few years, even after planting trees in that land, of course it will appreciate. So meaning the value would have increased from 5 million probably maybe to 8.9 million or something. And so to us, if you have to define an asset clearly, it talks literally about something that adds value. So what is that thing that normally adds value to you? Now that's your asset. If you have a business somewhere and you have a business enterprise, you have a business brand that normally adds money and adds value to you and to you, as you've said, that's an asset. And so when we're talking about becoming an asset, it's becoming a person who can add value to. When I'm talking about generation, or when the book talks about generation, is adding value to the people that God has called you for. And liability is the way Mungas really described it, something that removes value, something that removes something from you. And sometimes we have people who actually are liability in our lives. Yeah, we have people who are liabilities, and they call themselves your friend. I don't know if you've ever experienced, rather you have people in your circle who normally want just to feed on you. People who are always there, and they'll never add any information to you. They'll never teach you anything. They're always there to tell you, hey, Manze Munga, today I feel like, Manze, I need some cash. I need like 100 shillings. I need like 50 shillings. Hey, today I feel like, Manze, things are just not going well. It's for you to always give. For them to always receive. They're removing value. They are always there to bring you down. If you have ambitions, they're not there to actually add something that is of a huge benefit into your life, that entails your vision, that entails even your brand. So we have some people in our circles who normally are there to be like weevils or kunguni na Kiingereza ni
That's tick.
tick.
Yeah.
Like a tick.
They're parasites.
Parasites. They're always there to just take something from you, to feed on you, They'll never add anything to your life. They'll never add something that is very important to your life. Hata kuna ile siku atakuja seme, hey by the way, good job kufanya kitu poa, mimi na feel tu nikugeiso, and then you go and take something. They'll never give you 100 shillings and they just appreciate you. I'm not saying that you should expect people to give us money, but as a sense, as a form of appreciating and a form of adding value to your life. Because we are living in a generation where people fail to add value, and they tend to take something from you. They will only be there when you're benefiting and when you're growing. But when things are not working out well, you won't be able to find them within your midst. They'll become liability. And so God is calling each and every single one of us to become assets to the people that God has prepared and called us for. And the people that God has prepared and called us for are those people that you're passionate about. For some of us, we are passionate about kids. For some of us, we are passionate about young people. For some of us, we are passionate about people who have mental illness. For some of us, our generation, people that God has called us for are the kids. For some of us, we are really passionate about those people who are in the community, in the rescue centers and orphanages. That is the generation that God is calling you for. And when I wrote this book, I was writing it from a perspective of my experience. And the perspective of my experience meaning where I grew up from, through the challenges that I struggled with as a teenager, through the things that I had experienced as a teenager, from a broken family, from chaos each and every single day. I actually realized that there are a group of people that are passing through the same thing. There are a group of young teenage boys that are struggling with pornography because no one is there to just guide them and tell them that, hey, this is wrong. And I'm here to just walk with you, and I'm here to guide you. There's the group of people.
And that God loves them.
And God loves them as they are, And I never got an opportunity to experience and for someone to tell me that and to walk with me through that experience. And so for me, I struggled with it for 7 years. I struggled with pornography for 7 years, and no one knew what I was passing through. No one knew that this was killing me and eating me every single day, even my parents. And through this experience, I realized that God is calling each and every single one of us to really to really add value with the smallest thing that you may have. You may not really have knowledge. You may not have that capacity and that knowledge to be able to come and to go and teach those people or those your generation specifically, but God has given you a specific skill that you can be able to train them. That is becoming an asset to your generation. You're adding value to them. When you go out there in the streets and you pick kids who are in the streets and you begin training them and taking them to school and invest in their lives through school fees, you're actually becoming an asset to your generation, and you're becoming an asset to them. You're adding value to them. So becoming an asset is more about impact and less about feeding. Your major responsibility is to impact the people that God has placed in your hands. God has placed every single one of us, people behind us. I normally say this statement we normally used when you were teenagers, and we normally used to say when you're planning events, that and I love this guy, a friend of mine called Josiah. He used to normally tell us that God has placed 1,000 people behind you that are looking up to you. No matter any decision that you make right now, you have secret admirers that are behind you right now. Do you know that, Munga, there are people that normally look up to you and they have never revealed themselves to you, that they look up to you and that they admire you secretly, in terms of your ambitions, in terms of your career, in terms of your vision, in terms of your leadership capacity and leadership skills. If today you are to make a decision and go back to the world, all of them, the people normally say, if Munga was today to backslide, I will follow him. You have people who are looking up to you right now, who secretly have never shared with you that they look up to you. And they normally observe you. They love the way you treat yourself. They love the way you do things. They love the way you lead. That if today you are to make a decision to go back to the world, if today you are to make a decision to fail, they would follow you 100%. And that's why we were saying that our major responsibility here is to really impact our generation positively and become as an example, as a leader. Yeah.
Wow. I'm astonished.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's the reason why I need to become an asset and not a liability.
Yes, that's the reason you need to become an asset and not a liability. And the disciples of Jesus were an asset, and through this, every single place Jesus went, he made sure that he had to become an asset. Every single place he went, he left a mark. Every single place he went, he added value through performing miracles, through teaching the disciples, through having a moment of expressing God's love to them. And that is what God is calling us to do. God is calling us to express his love. God is calling us to add value to other people. Adding value is as small as complimenting someone that you look good today.
You look good, Pastor.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. And that's what we're talking about. When we're talking about adding an asset, it's not a deep thing. Is being as simple as, man, you look good. I love your smile. I complimenting simple stuff in your circle, and that's what normally helps us grow. You can only become an asset when you decide to be intentionally adding value to people, to be intentionally working with people, to be intentionally expressing Christ's character in the lives of other people.
Wow.
I feel like I've talked too much.
I feel like you fulfilled your purpose.
Come on, man.
I feel like you have every reason now to go and dive deeper into the book and see some of the things that he has talked about, like identity. How do you work on your identity and acknowledge that actually God has given you everything that you have and made you everything that you are, and you don't have to look at yourself anymore from a victim's perspective, because you are a victor, and that God has called you out to victoriously become an asset, a blessing to this generation that you've been born into. And one of the most amazing testimonies I've ever heard is by a guy called Benny, all the way from India, Benny Prasad. And he said that when God called him, he told God, I'm useless. And then Jesus told him that it is as useless as he is that he wants to use him. And right now, Benny Prasad has impacted my life and the life of many across all over the world, traveling as a musician, playing an instrument that he has constructed for himself, that is a guitar, it's a drum, and many other things in between. And he's just amazing to listen to. And he's glad that Jesus has used him in his uselessness to make him an asset to this generation. Wow. And that same way God is willing to use you. And I pray that you go also and read this book so that you may hear more from the Lord about how you can become an asset to this generation. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Mungai Dennis, and this is Munga Swords.
This is Clint Odhiambo. I was your guest today, and thank you so much. God bless you.
Amen.